A hiker vanished on a trail that thousands of people walk every year. 9 months later, someone found his camera in a creek, and the last photo on it wasn't a sunset. His name was Marcus Lindqvist, 26, an engineering grad student who hiked the way other people meditate. He was meticulous. He filed trip plans with his roommate, carried 2 forms of navigation, and never went off trail. On a clear Saturday in June, he set out to do a 16-mile loop in the national forest that he'd done 4 times before. He texted his roommate from the trailhead, a thumbs-up emoji, and the words, "Back by dark." He was never seen alive again. The search was massive. It's worth understanding why, because it tells you how strange the disappearance was. Marcus had vanished on the most popular section of one of the most popular trails in the state. This wasn't a remote backcountry route. There were day trippers, families, trail runners. People pass each other every few minutes. For a careful, experienced hiker to simply evaporate from a crowded path in good weather, it didn't fit any pattern the search and rescue teams knew. They found nothing. No pack, no body, no clothing, no sign he'd left the trail. Bloodhounds lost the scent at a creek crossing about 4 miles in, which the searchers attributed to the water. After 3 weeks, the active search was scaled back. The official theory settled into the only one that made sense. Marcus must have left the trail for some reason, fallen, and ended up somewhere the searchers couldn't reach. A tragic accident. The forest is big. It keeps things. His family never accepted it. Her mother in particular kept saying the same thing to anyone who'd listen. Her son did not leave the trail. He just didn't. But grief makes people insist on things, and the case went cold. Then, the following spring, a fisherman working a creek 2 valleys over from the search area snagged his line on something heavy in the silt. It was a small, waterproof hard case, the kind serious photographers use. Inside, miraculously dry, was Marcus's camera and a memory card. The detective assigned to the cold case, a woman named Priya Anand, sat with a forensic tech and went through the photos one by one. Most were exactly what you'd expect. Trees, a ridgeline, a self-portrait at a viewpoint, Marcus grinning, alive, ordinary. The timestamps marched forward through the morning, and then there was the last one. It was taken at 1:47 in the afternoon. It was blurry, clearly shot in a hurry, maybe even by accident. The frame was mostly the forest floor and a wall of green undergrowth, but in the upper corner, partly hidden behind a tree about 30 feet back, was a man. Not a hiker, and there was no pack, no bright clothing, just a man in dark work clothes, standing very still, watching the camera. Here is the detail that turned the whole case: the location. The metadata embedded in the photo put it nearly a mile off the official trail, in a direction that led towards a section of old gated Forest Service roads, the kind only used by people with reason to be back there. Marcus, the hiker who never left the trail, and he didn't do it willingly. The last thing he did was lift his camera and fire off one frame at the man behind him, as if some part of him knew that the picture might be the only thing that ever made it back out. Anand ran the Forest Service road network and found that it connected to a handful of remote private parcels. One belonged to a man with a long, quiet history of trespassing complaints and a concealed marijuana grow that he'd been protecting for years, the kind of operation where strangers wandering too close were treated as threats. When detectives finally searched the property, they found the rest of what they were looking for, including Marcus's pack buried at the tree line. The man's defense was that the hiker had stumbled onto the grow by accident, and there had been some kind of confrontation. The photo said otherwise. The photo showed a man who had followed Marcus deep into the woods, herding him a full mile from safety, hunting him. Marcus's mother had been right the entire time. Her son didn't leave the trail. He was taken off it. And in the last seconds anyone will ever account for, he did the only thing left to a careful man. He documented it, dropped the camera where the creek would carry it away, and made sure whatever happened next, the truth would outlast him. Subscribe for more horror stories. And remember, if you ever feel like you're being watched in the woods, don't turn around, because you might confirm it.